This is Kenny Burns. In 1977, Burns was a mediocre striker at Birmingham City and seen as something of a thug. But within 2 years, he was an English and European champion, as well as the Football Writers' Player of the Year, despite switching to an entirely new position. But Burns was not alone in his inexplicable rise, thanks to football's most underrated talent scout, a legendary manager, and a coaching miracle. Brian Clough's appointment at Nottingham Forest was a marriage of convenience. After leading Derby County to the 1972 title, Clough's reputation had nosedived after an acrimonious exit from the baseball ground, struggling at 3rd Division Brighton, and an infamous 44-day spell at Leeds. Stagnating in the 2nd Division, Forest needed a refresh. 4 Forest directors threatened to resign when outspoken Clough was first proposed, but he eventually signed in January 1975. But Forest could only finish 16th, leading to fears Clough's Derby magic really had evaporated. Despite finishing 8th the following season, it was the arrival of Clough's partner Peter Taylor that would ignite the club's transformation. Despite partnering Clough to Derby's title win, assistant manager Taylor had refused to follow him to Leeds to remain at Brighton. But having missed out on promotion in 1976, Taylor was now ready to reunite the perfect coaching double act, despite a string of squabbles. Charismatic, perceptive and quick-witted, Clough was football's greatest motivator, while Taylor's eye for a player was legendary. Together they picked out under-the-radar talents and maximised their potential, while shrewdly working together to influence the squad, club directors and the media. Forest were promoted in Taylor's first season, and incredibly, 11 of that squad would soon become European champions. Underlining Clough's ability to improve players, 5 of the team were already there when he arrived. Future England internationals right-back Viv Anderson and striker Tony Woodcock, plus midfielder Ian Bowyer and future Leicester and Celtic manager Martin O'Neill. The 5th, winger John Robertson, had been transfer listed, but would become an example of Clough and Taylor's brilliance. Clough described heavy smoker Robertson as a lost cause, saying he was fat, unshaven and dressed like a tramp. Taylor, however, saw the Scots' potential and confronted him over his bad habits, while Clough meticulously coached every aspect of his game. Robertson later credited Clough and Taylor with saving his career, and he would quickly become the side's creative fulcrum. In those first 2.5 seasons, Clough and Taylor added stalwart left-back Frank Clark from Newcastle on a free, defender Colin Barrett from Manchester City for just £30,000, and centre-back Larry Lloyd, an intermittent presence at Coventry, for only £60,000. Clough's old Derby favourites, captain John McGovern and striker John O'Hare, joined from Leeds, where they'd slipped into the reserves. All would play key roles in future trophy wins. Industrious striker Gary Birtles was perhaps the most remarkable signing, however. Birtles was working as a carpet fitter and playing for non-league Long Eaton United when he joined Forest for just £2,000. Birtles would later win 3 England caps. By September 1977, as Forest returned to the top flight, the European Cup winning team was all but complete. Scottish winger Archie Gemmill, another Clough favourite, joined from Derby, and England goalkeeper Peter Shilton, regarded by some as the world's best during his time at Forest, arrived via relegated 1st Division club Stoke City for around £300,000. Burns arrived for £150,000 that summer too. Despite his fiery reputation, Taylor described striker Burns as a lamb underneath, before converting him to a centre-back, seeing his ball-playing skill set as potentially that of a Scottish Bobby Moore. As with Robertson, Clough told Burns to shave and dress better while fussing over his wife in a bid to demonstrate decent behaviour to a lad who had come from a rough background and had few standards. Forest's first game back in the top flight brought a surprise 3-1 win at Everton, the previously transfer-listed O'Neill and Robertson both scoring. It was 1 of 10 in Forest's first 13 league games before a glorious 4-0 thrashing of FA Cup holders Manchester United at Old Trafford in December, underlining Forest's title credentials. Although typically more functional than flowing, Forest lost just 3 games all season and remained top from October onwards to become the most unexpected champions in English football history. Clough's team would even beat European Cup holders Liverpool to win the League Cup, completing a barely believable double. Although 18 draws the following season, 9 of which finished 0-0, would allow Liverpool to regain the title in 1979, Clough's side posted a record of 42 league games unbeaten. It was a run that lasted over a year and was only bettered by Arsenal's Invincibles in 2004. Forest also remained undefeated at home in the league for over 2.5 years and would retain the League Cup in 1979. However, Europe was now Clough's real focus. In Nobody Ever Says Thank You, Jonathan Wilson likens Clough's obsession with the European Cup to Captain Ahab's with Moby Dick, the titular whale in Herman Melville's 1851 classic novel that maimed the sailor's leg. Clough too had endured a serious leg injury. In 1962, Clough, then a prolific striker for 2nd Division Sunderland, suffered catastrophic knee ligament damage that would end his career at just 29. Despite his cocky but charming media persona, Clough was wildly unpredictable, suffered with drinking problems and was clearly insecure over a great many things, while forever being desperate to prove himself. Partly due to his knee injury, Clough also seemed to feel victimised by football. For example, he would take family holidays during the season and leave Taylor in charge of the team for fear of missing out on time with his children, as if that was something football was trying to take from him. Clough saw winning the European Cup, however, as the ultimate proof of his quality, but success, so far, had been dramatically denied. After Derby's 1973 semi-final loss to Juventus, Clough alleged the referee had been bought and remained bitter about the game for many years. Having repeatedly criticised previous Leeds coach Don Revie, Clough's eternal rival, and his players for aggressive tactics, perpetuating their dirty Leeds moniker, his appointment there was baffling. But Clough was influenced by the fact that Leeds had qualified for the European Cup, and of course the chance to prove himself over Revie. Leeds made the final even after Clough was sacked. Egotistical Clough had to dominate everything and was a fierce disciplinarian. For example, his trademark green jumper, worn later in his career, was a means of asserting authority over goalkeeper Shilton, who wore the traditional green with a number 1 on the back. Clough told Shilton, "There's only one number 1 around here and it's not you." He also punched Roy Keane in the face for a back pass and even fined Burns at half-time in writing for playing a risky ball. Clough's eccentricities also bred genius, however.
And I want you to, whoever you are, you are not a fighter and you don't take my job. I'm the talker. Now, Clough, I've had enough. Stop it.
Well, are you going to stop it?
No, I want to fight him.
He once locked Forest players out of their dressing room after a poor first half against Aston Villa, leaving them to stand embarrassed on the pitch. They went on to win the game. Sensing nerves, Clough instigated a champagne party at the team hotel on the eve of the League Cup final, employing the Clough-Taylor double act to lighten the mood. Forest, possibly hungover, won the trophy. Worried about results, during one of his mid-season holidays, Clough flew home from Spain to deliver a surprise half-time team talk at QPR before returning to his family. Forest won 3-1. Although Clough claimed he didn't use tactics, which by today's definition of the word isn't remotely true, his real skill was an ability to simplify and transmit his ideas. Taylor referred to the pair targeting the right blend of players, who Clough would repeatedly insist needed to play the right way. Clough would give out specific but basic roles which could be as succinct as just stay wide, hold up the ball, or to protect a certain area, quickly admonishing anyone who didn't follow his directions exactly. A group of quality players scouted for specific roles who were highly motivated and given digestible instructions resulted in a fiercely effective combination. As Europe would soon find out. Forest would see off holders Liverpool, AEK Athens, Real Madrid's conquerors Grasshopper Zurich and Cologne to set up a final with Malmo to decide the 1979 European Cup. The game would be decided by Clough's latest and most high-profile signing. Searching for an attacker, Clough doubled the British transfer record, paying £1 million to sign England striker Trevor Francis from Birmingham City, where he'd been a starter since 16 and known as Superboy. Clough would put Francis in his place by having him make half-time tea, but Francis would justify the fee with a diving header to win the final in Munich to make Nottingham Forest European champions. Ahab finally had his whale. Francis's goal completed football's greatest ever managerial feat. In less than 3 years, Clough and Taylor took Forest from 2nd Division obscurity to promotion, the English title and the European Cup via 2 League Cups and an unprecedented unbeaten run with a team built from reserves, transfer-listed players and cut-price misfits. Incredibly, Forest would retain the European Cup the following season, beating Ajax in the last 4 and Kevin Keegan's Hamburg in the final. Having taken Derby to promotion before winning the English title and then repeating the feat with Forest, Clough remains arguably English football's greatest ever manager. The player's contribution, however, shouldn't be overlooked. Despite 5 major trophies in 3 years, including back-to-back European Cups, Burns, Robertson and many of their Forest teammates aren't regarded as all-time greats as Clough is. However, given their success, maybe that's one area their flawed genius of a coach doesn't need to dominate.